Just wanted to come on again, just to kind of share another perspective, because there are some things going on in Louisiana that are starting to, be seen by the country at large, and we have some things trickling up to the Supreme Court. So I felt like, I like to comment on it, especially one of them, because I've done a little homework on it, attended a few meetings locally about it, and definitely have some insight I'd like to share. So, and I start from this perspective. What's good for me should be good for you. What's illegal for me should be illegal for you. So I kind of start from that platform. Things should be done fairly. Okay. Now here locally in Shreveport, there's been a big issue. And I will say this, obviously it was some local elected officials that were upset and pushed this higher, because knowing how things work, I know that the Attorney General of Louisiana should not be tracking every parish's commission and every city's council and what's going on in it, because we have like 64 parishes. So that'd be like 64 parishes, 60, each one having a commission, each one having a city council. She's not up there tracking all this stuff. But of course, if someone makes a complaint, then she looks into it. So that's how this began, just realistically. So currently what's going on is Senator Bernie Sanders came here a while back, made a rally, and at this rally a special resolution was presented, and it was basically welcoming him to the city of Shreveport, the parish of Caddo, and stuff like that. So it was a special resolution, meaning ceremonial, okay, because there is a difference. So the parish issues resolutions which actually affect governance, and they actually are typically discussed, voted on, and everything before they're implemented, because you have to. And then you have special resolutions which are symbolic. Now I'll say this, from a military's perspective, they are different, which is to say, if something says this is what has to happen for a resolution, in the military perspective, that would count for resolutions. It wouldn't count for special resolutions because that hasn't been specified. That's how meticulous the military is, and I've been in situations where I've had to articulate this and make decisions based on this. In the civilian sector, it's different. So here locally, and I've read this, so the bylaws of the Caddo Parish Commission does say that every resolution should be brought before the body and all of that before it's issued, okay? In their language, it doesn't specify resolution or special resolution. So the way our Attorney General is deciding to interpret it is that that's all resolutions, because a resolution is a resolution and a special resolution is a resolution. It's just special. So that's how that's being interpreted. Now, if you interpret it that way, then yes, the bylaws of the Caddo Parish Commission were broken. And that's the way she is interpreting it. Now, if you interpret it the way I would have interpreted it, because that's just the perspective I come from, I would not see it as a violation. Because again, a resolution affects policy, affects the citizens, and you have to go through that process. A special resolution is, hey, Sergeant Williams retired from the Army after 22 years. Let's give him a piece of paper. That's what a special resolution is. It doesn't affect anything. Now, the reason I am very upset with how this is playing out is because after doing research and actually reading their bylaws and the history of their minutes, the Caddo Parish Commission has made a common practice of issuing special resolutions and later voting on them because they have no power and they're symbolic. And this happened as recently as like 3 months before the one she's suing about. 3 months before that, the other side of the Caddo Parish Commission wanted to recognize LSU. They issued a resolution and came back later and voted on it. No one had a problem with it because the people who wanted them to be recognized, they received that. And the people who didn't really care didn't care. 3 weeks later, you fast forward, this happens, and Republican, commissioners were upset about it. So my position is this. If it wasn't a problem 3 weeks ago when you did it for the people you wanted to have it, why is it a problem 3 weeks later when it's somebody you might not agree with? See, that's the problem we're having, right? Is we have to treat everything the same with the same energy, and that's how we create unity. I can't be mad when a senator I disagree with get a special resolution that wasn't voted on to after the fact, but I was okay with LSU getting one But when it was voted on after the fact, but because I like LSU, or I'm friends with the coach, or I used to play for LSU, or I went to LSU, or whatever the case may be. Now, to bring that into perspective, I have a congresswoman I just posted on my page. If you look below, there'll be a post. There was a congresswoman, right? When all this happened on the 10th, and the president came out and basically said, he blames the left, even though no one had been arrested. We didn't know who the perpetrator was. He said he blamed the left. And of course, I watch CNN, Fox News, Newsmax, MSNBC, the Young Turks. I watch everything, right? And what you started to see was certain outlets started talking about the liberal left, transgender, and all this stuff. So this particular congresswoman, she posted, we need to bring back the death penalty, right? So she's like, hey, it probably was so my thinking is she's thinking it probably was a liberal or someone with gender dysphoria, so we should be, bringing back the death penalty. Now that was on the 10th at about 9:30 p.m. Again, it's all on my page, screenshot. You look at what was put out on the 12th, once we realized who this person was, what his demographics was, and of course he's Mormon, and they're saying he has no political affiliation, but of course his family has been identified as a Republican, Mormon, Utah family. Now that those demographics has come out, this same congresswoman posted, we should pray for him because that's what Mr. Kurt would want us to do. Again, I'm not saying we shouldn't pray for him, right? I'm all about that. We should be praying for, everyone that's been affected by gun violence in this nation. What I don't like is for a congresswoman to basically go call for the death penalty because she believed the person or the perpetrator meets certain demographics. But then when she find out the perpetrator doesn't, now all of a sudden it should be a different treatment. That's the problem we're starting to have with our politicians, and it's on both sides, but you might be able to identify it easier on certain sides than others. But what's good for one has to be good for all. That's the problem we're having. So right here in Caddo, we're going to see how this worked. And again, it's still playing out because what she originally filed, she had to amend, right? Because at first they were trying to say it was illegal and it, basically hadn't been done, which it has. So once that all kind of came out, the case they're looking at now is an amended case. So she's had to go back and change some of the verbiage to try to make it fit, I guess, whatever, her argument is and all this. Me personally, I would say, again, if you can go back in history and show that this was common practice, which I personally believe it was and have talked to people that work with the commission, supports the commission, and have also literally read the bylaws, I would say this should be thrown out. Now, if you do want to make it harder to give special resolutions, then the commission as a whole should amend their bylaws in the appropriate manner, which, as far as I'm aware, they haven't, even with all this going on. So that's, I guess, my perspective, my 2 cents, is that we currently have an attorney general who was obviously contacted by one of the hardened commissioners that didn't sign the resolution. And now she's all into this thing like, oh, this is wrong and you didn't follow your bylaws. But they have never when it comes to special resolutions. So that's the thing is, maybe you come in as an objective person just trying to right the wrong and say, hey, all this has been done. You've been doing this wrong for quite some time. So as of now, as Attorney General, I'm telling you, amend your bylaws, make it say X, Y, and Z, and do it the right way every time. And that's how you fix it. But you don't come in and say, well, we're not going to discard we're going to discard all of that because nobody complained about it or because the right people didn't get mad about it. But now that we have the right people mad about it, we're trying to punish people. I think that's where we go wrong with things, is right the ship and then hold everyone accountable. But don't come in and let all the wrong that's happened be unaddressed and then all of a sudden want to punish a current situation. So I don't know. I think it's still people, they're playing politics instead of just trying to make things better. And that's what this situation is showing. here in Caddo Parish. And again, the same thing with the redistricting. That's a big thing going to the U.S. Supreme Court, because apparently it was ruled that districts needed to change to be more inclusive because there was a disproportionate representation issue. Once that was done, now this same Attorney General come in and she's trying to undo that, saying that it ain't fair. But again, it was ruled to do it because it wasn't fair. So, it's all perspective. But my thing is, if you read what the Attorney General's job is, it's supposed to be to advocate for like fairness and the people. So I don't know. I just think that, making an argument to try to say that you support a system that clearly our delegation didn't look representative of the state, and now it does, and you're fighting it. I don't know. It just, when you look at stuff, sometimes you don't have to do a whole lot of research or be, an expert to just kind of call a spade a spade. And that's something I think we got to get back to, is a lot of things do take a lot of research and a deep understanding. But some things, you can call a spade when you see it. My granddad would always say, if it looked like a duck, it walked like a duck, and it quacked like a duck, hey, round in these parts, we call it a duck.